recently I've been trying to just like really occupy my time with like as many things that like interest me in the slightest bit at all. So like even just like when going on streaming services, if I see something that just even seems interesting to me at even the littlest bit, I'll just click on it and start watching and actually giving it a shot. I mean, I have all the time I need right now, so if I really don't like it, I can just move on to the next thing and try, with that.
Yeah.
Um, and so what I've been, I've been watching documentaries. So we fucking watched the Tiger King one,
Oh
and
my God.
oh my
Okay.
god, dude,
I I'm
holy
not I'm
shit,
not done
fucking,
with it
I'm gonna
yet.
say it right. Oh, dude, oh god,
Okay, I like
where did you get to? Where did you get to it?
Jeff Lowe just took over.
Oh, so you got past like Carol Baskins and her husband?
Yeah. Oh,
She
she
took
killed him. She fucking killed him.
she totally did it.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit. Holy shit, dude. Like I am gonna be 100% the most conspiracy fucking theorist here. Like people will be like Matt McCord on the fucking Parkour podcast. His theory about it is fucking nuts. The way he thinks about it is fucking crazy. There's no proof. It is bullshit. It is the dumbest one I've heard. But the way I fucking know it is when she's talking about it, like the first segment that she mentions it, she's like, "Oh, I didn't do that to my husband." She like closes her eyes, rolls them backwards, and looks up to the corner. And I'm like, "That's a fucking tell."
Oh
And I
yeah, no.
guarantee, I
Any
guarantee,
anytime.
yeah,
Anytime she brings it up,
anytime.
she never looks in the camera. She always looks away.
When
Always
she
looks away.
fucking laughs about it, she has
Yeah.
no. There is like when you really love someone and you talk about them and they're not around anymore, there is a fucking tone to it. Like even when you get past it and you get okay with it, like there is still kind of like a tone. There is still a tell that you give away that you still miss them. Fucking
Yeah.
Carol doesn't give a shit. Holy
No.
fuck. And then
Oh,
when you
dude,
find it,
even in the
oh my god.
interview, even in her live interviews, where like it does the ones from back then in like it shows her the original interviews on TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She never really cried. She didn't give a shit. She was just like, yeah, he's just gone. I don't know why people keep trying to blame me. And just bleep, bleep. It's just like, what the fuck? That bitch did it. And
Like
she like, yeah,
Like
yeah. The fact
there's
that
only
she like,
one video where she's fucking crying, and that's like the first day that she finds out he goes missing. That I think that's the only one that I saw her where she's crying, but you don't see her crying at all anywhere
no.
else.
And then
And
that lawyer, oh my god, that lawyer's just as pissed off as like everyone. He's like, that fucking bitch did it. I can't say she did, but she did
she's
it.
like, I know the tigers didn't fucking eat it, but I'm not disproving like the fact that he didn't like discredit any of the other theories, even the septic tank. I'm like, oh my god, why
Yeah,
isn't she in jail? Like they all
yeah,
need to be in jail. They all need to be in fucking jail. That whole
all of them.
documentary. None of
They
like
all need to be in jail,
they all need to be
except for Mario. He's chill.
fucking. Who's Mario?
Exactly. He was the one Hispanic guy that they talk about that owned the big cats. He was a felon and he went to
Him.
jail
Yeah,
before.
no, definitely
He's
not.
good.
No,
He's
he's
the
like
only
the
good one.
like it's so fucking weird. Like, how is the fucking crook the only good one out of
Yeah.
like the?
He's like,
Oh
I
my god!
served my time. I did what I did, but you know what? I love my cats. He's
Oh
just
my god! Welcome back to the Punk Rock Horror Podcast. I'm Matt,
like, Cody.
and today we're here to remind you that having tigers, money, and like 5 different wives won't make you fucking happy, but I guarantee you'll look insane.
It'll give you one hell of a story. Okay, you know what's crazy about it is I've seen that guy on TV.
You've
I
seen
saw
him
him
on
on.
TV.
Yeah, no, I saw the guy when he was on Leno and shit like that, and on Letterman. I watched those shows with my mom when he was on there, and I was like, "Why does he look familiar?" And then he said that, I was like, "Holy shit, this dude's fucked up."
Dude, it's just, oh my
You know
god.
what's crazy is like that documentary also leads into the fucking off the wall bonkers episode that we just went over about with Jack Unterberger
I know, right?
on
Just
Monday's episode. Go give that a listen for a fucking
do it now,
off the
and then come back
wall
to this. Then come back to this one.
serial killer story.
That you're gonna come back to this afterwards. Okay, go do that first. Come back here, listen to us, and then you'll be like, I totally agree. Carol Baskins needs to be in fucking jail. Like I can't
Oh,
wrap my head. Like does it make me think that I can't wrap my head around anyone who's making the case for her? Like,
No, fuck her. She's evil. The shit she did to like everyone in that documentary, also.
just the
Like,
worst, man.
just even whether but let's get over the fact that she
Look,
murdered her husband.
Cody,
The everything she
if
did
we keep
afterwards.
talking about this, we might ruin our chances to actually get our own shirts. Okay, I really want to be a red shirt or fucking purple. Dude.
Maybe I could get to white. 5 years. I'll have to suck dick all the way there.
It's just, oh my god, dude. It's just so weird. It's just the, like, holy
God
shit,
damn,
that
man.
whole thing. Well, anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, fucking, well, yeah, welcome back. We already did the whole intro. But talking about things that just get us riled up, let's jump into our next segment. Something we love and hate. So, or SWLH, Swooch, or Swooch, or Swooch, Swooch.
Oh my
So
god.
so if you're new to the show, this is the segment of the show where we jump into something that has happened in the world around us that we've viewed in the past day, week, or month, and we give our own opinion of it. It can be anything that's ranging from something as small as to the guy at the store who keeps chewing with his mouth open, to even as something as big as loving the
Mouth
idea of
breathers.
an Evil Dead video game coming to life.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all over the place. Buddy, do you want to start this one off, or do you want me to do it?
I can start it off. So, the thing I love is actually I've been playing Animal Crossing, and it's been.
You're part of the sheep. You're the
I know,
fucking part of the flock.
I
I'm
know.
just kidding.
Okay.
No hate. No hate. No hate. I'm playing.
No, okay. So what I like about it, what the cool thing that I actually really do like about it is the like super DIY customization that they delved into this one, like with the creating your own patterns and stuff like that, and especially seeing like all the horror inspired things I've seen online, like people turning their houses into murder mystery, their entire islands into murder mysteries, and their houses into just like old creations of like murder houses and whatnot, like from or horror houses and stuff. Like it's really
Yeah.
cool, and it's like inspired me that I'm turning my guy into a Chucky. So like I'm super excited about it. And so like but it's also been nice because something that I love because like it's something that me and Audrey have been bonding over too. So she's been really enjoying watching me play video games. And I talked about Concrete Genie before, I think, how I've been playing that with her. And she's been also really liking me play Animal Crossing because it's really calming and it's nice for when me and her get kind of heated. We'll play like we'll play that and like we'll both kind of calm down. And she really enjoys it because she likes watching me fish and do all the like little gardening stuff. So it's been nice. So that's kind of something I love is like that game's kind of like bringing me closer to my daughter. So yeah,
Oh.
and so it's been kind of cool, like her starting to get into like gaming and stuff with me. And now I have to, and I slowly come to the fact that I have to learn to actually teach her how to cook since I'm a cook and she's really, really into cooking. So
Oh.
yeah, gotta have to do that. But it's fun. But and then thing I hate, actually, it's probably like something we both hate.
All right. Here
It's
we go.
it's just like all the like anger and stupidity coming out of all of this. Like,
If you're talking about what I think you're gonna talk about, I'm just gonna like group mine in with yours, and I'll finish off what I love.
yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. So like one thing that I've been kind of hating with everything that's going on is just like again all the people saying that like oh this isn't like that big a deal blah 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 like we shouldn't why would my do I need to take this serious? It's like come on man, just it's not it's this whole entire pandemic, this like disease literally is the definition of try and think of someone else. Like think about
Yeah.
put someone else's needs in front of yours. And that's what this whole entire thing is about. Is like, okay, it might not affect you as much, but it's affecting someone else, or it could affect someone else. And it's like just be considerate. Like this is the one of the few times in the entire where the entire world is trying to be considerate towards each other, and the fact that people are still trying to use
Well,
use
like,
this as greed and like people trying to sell fake cures and stuff like that and loop people into giving them money that way. Like it's just disgusting. It's like, come on. This is a time to think of each other. Be nice, be friends. Try and think of someone else so we can all get through this as quickly as possible
Well, I
and
think it
get
was
back to our
even
normal lives.
sorry, I think it was even like Kansas that like recently just like the governor, I think it was like the governor of Kansas recently said that their rates of people being infected have gone down drastically, and I think it was like if not completely gone in total, just because they did the stay at home, order.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't even been a full month and they're already improving. So it's like obviously it's working, and it's just like what I really kind of like I don't want to take away from it because I want you to get all yours out before I go into mine because mine's just rooted in the same issue for the most part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of like my whole entire thing is like the fact that like no one like there's still all shit like with how serious it's gotten. That fact that it's gotten to this point, like, should
Right.
be a clear sign of like, come on, just take this seriously for at least a little while, like something, just show that like you're actually being considerate towards other people, like with the whole all the like mass buying of like running out of toilet paper and like canned goods lately and stuff like that. I don't know how many times I've looked up and seen like all these grocery store companies, like these companies, and they're looking at their warehouses. They're like, we're fully stocked, we're fine, y'all will be fine, just buy what you need like normal and you'll be okay. Like that's it's just like, come on. Like I know like
Yeah.
there are people affected financially and stuff like that, and it's, they need to buy in bulk at times too, but like, you don't need to buy excessive bulk. It's just buy what you need at the time. That's all you need to do. It's okay. Calm down with those facts. Just calm down and things will be okay. Be smart. It'll be all right. You know? So that's kind of like where all my anger is at. It's because like that's what I've been dealing with, of just like staying calm. I'm only getting what I need now. Now, like at first, like when it all started, I kind of started mass buying, but then I calmed down and I'm fine. I have my essentials now because I just that's all I need to do.
Man, like and it's just like it's it's not being we can't be a fucking unite like I get it, United States is like united in the sense like the states itself are united, but like there's this
Yeah,
whole like patriotism behind it of like we stand together as a people, we take care of each other, so on and so forth. And when you go out and you fucking whore yourself on fucking toilet paper and
yeah,
goddamn food that other people could use, and you do it to a point where like stores have to literally adjust their hours to accommodate even only senior citizens, you're part
yeah.
of the fucking problem. I don't give goddamn shit what goddamn fucking excuse you have. You're a piece of shit and I hate you. And I really, really, really fucking hope for the rest of your life you stub your toe so goddamn bad it becomes like fucking brittle like glass, you dickhole. It just because I'm
Yeah.
one of those. I'm sorry, man. It's a little personal because it's
No, I
like
get you.
I'm one of those families that's been affected by it where it's becoming a concern where we're going to get toilet paper from.
Yeah,
Like we're out there like every day, if not every other day, fucking shopping and just like not getting anything. And we're driving all around town, and it's a little pent up frustration. I'm not gonna lie. So, but
yeah.
fuck it.
No, I
It,
get you,
it
man.
it's our podcast.
Yeah, it's our podcast. We can
With
say
that
what we
being
want.
said, problems that are bigger than my own, though, they are coming from this whole epidemic, unfortunately, is just I mentioned it briefly, like on Monday, but like, so
Yeah,
there's this huge, 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 disgusting rise in xenophobia and racism towards Chinese Americans and Asian Americans in general, and
yeah,
Asian people in general, because of the virus. So because the virus, just to kind of fill anybody, just get anybody caught up to speed, because the virus originated from China. Now, people who are perceived to look Chinese in any sort of way, regardless if they are or not, are being tagged with hate crimes. If you
yeah,
go on Google right now and even just type in Asian family attacked due to coronavirus scare, the amount of articles that are going to pop up go all the way back to February 5th with this. So,
yeah. It's
there's
gross.
people that are being spit on, yelled at, and attacked because people are so deep in the hysteria that they think a Chinese person is just, or anyone who looks remotely Asian is going to give them fucking, a virus. And what's so disgusting about this is that this was the same. You see similar themes that are being practiced with the stigma of the Muslim community and what's been attached to them due to terrorism in the 9/11. And
Yeah,
it's just so appalling that it's just sad because it's mostly happening here in America from what it's happening in other places of the world too, but mostly here in America. And it's like if it if the virus came from here, we would be begging other people to not, attack people that are come from America.
yeah,
We'd be pissed. But because it didn't happen here and it happened in a different part of the world. It's just really, really disturbing. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying every American is
no,
xenophobic or racist or anything like that. I'm purely calling out these people who have gone to these extremes to attack people and just like even there's reports of families, like even children, being bullied at school. Like
yeah.
it's insane
Oh yeah,
that
and it's not even just in America. Like this is happening everywhere to them, and like
it's insane.
it's
Yeah,
shitty.
and you know what sucks is that it's insane that it's literally a common enemy that we all have, yet there's still a percentage of people that would rather point a finger instead
Yeah,
of unite.
yeah,
Like that, and that is what we would be begging for if it was on our side, or that's what they would be begging for if it was on their side. If they were in their shoes, they would be begging for that, and it's just so absolutely disgusting to me, and it's just gonna be like, and I'm really preachy for it because I'm not someone who's directly been affected by it, um, but I can still
well,
sympathize without having to. Um, be in someone's shoes completely, if that makes sense, you know?
yeah. I mean, I can see like you why you would get more heated because you have been hated on just because you're not white. Like
Well, yeah,
I've
that means,
seen it
and then
happen
that,
too, but
yeah,
I know like that's another thing, and like to an extent, but at the same time, like they're getting hated on just for their race or culture, and it's stupid. Like this is a point in time, like literally to get over this and through this is to unite and take care of each other and think of others. Like stop. There's no need for hate. There's no room for hate right now.
yeah,
Like just get over that whole entire thing. There's no need for it. And hating on someone and beating them up. Guess what? If you went and beat up that person and they just by chance had it, that's how you fucking got it.
yeah.
By
You're
breaking into
literally
their
making the
house.
problem worse by
Yeah.
making fucking contact with him, you dickhead. Like, fucking,
So
it's just so good. It's just the like
I
the
know.
intelligence behind it. Like, we wonder why the government keeps secrets from us, and fucking coronavirus is proof, man. Fucking our keystone, fuck it, whatever. I'm making the point that we're not, on the side of the people that are hating against it. The whole fucking point is that it just makes me so fucking angry. It's so fucking stupid because it's like every time I find a little hope in humanity, it's just like something always comes back around and just be like, remember, you're not completely perfect. There's a lot of blemishes upon your whole body of human. Like
Yeah. I know.
you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
just that's a terrible example too. I'm just so fucking mad, dude, because I can't believe like it's gotten to that point. Like it's just these are also the same people that would fucking hide a zombie bite.
Oh yeah. No, they totally are.
They fucking
100%.
these are the people that would fucking make the stupid decision in any zombie movie and get them or not a group of if not a group of people fucking killed.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, they're the same ones that
every
are like that will get it and will like have the fever and everything. Go, no, I gotta go to work.
they're just I'm immune. I got immunity to it.
Yeah, I'm
It's in
fine.
my genetics. I know. I already got vaccinated. I
Yeah.
just I'm in natural herbs. I believe in natural medicine.
No. Yeah. So what's the thing you love though, sir?
No, the lead thing I love to change it from being so heated, I told you I was gonna get heated about it too.
Hmm.
Is is the thing I love is so because coming back to like diving into streaming services that I've just been watching a lot of really great content recently. So I'm just gonna try to like shout them all out really quick. So one amazing documentary I watched recently. It was on Netflix. It's actually very recently released. It's called Camp Crip, or I think it's Crip Camp. No, I think it's Camp Crip. And it's this camp about it's this documentary about this camp of handicapped individuals who were in the 70s, or yeah, I think it was like the 70s or 60s, and didn't really have any place to go to. It was the 60s, sorry, I remember now. So they didn't have their own place to go to. So they kind of had this, they went to this own camp, called Camp, I think it's called Camp Jedin. And so like it's a really kind of like sweet thing because you see on one end just a bunch of people who felt like they were lower class, treated beneath everybody's shoe, at this own camp where they feel like they're a part of something and they're not being, overlooked. And so, even one of the comments that when they're interviewing one of the counselors said is like, when you were at Camp Gen Ed, you would, you would never get overlooked. When it's time to go to bat, you're going up to bat, referring,
Mhm.
to play, like playing baseball. And it's just like really kind of like really good to see, like it's like
Yeah.
a good kind of like thing to see within all this constant terror. But it talks about this movement to get the American with Disabilities Act passed too in 1990, and like it follows like this whole like protest because like I don't even think you know this because I didn't know this, but like they got to, it was, I think it was like disabled, it was like DIS, I forget the whole name, but it was like DIS. They were an activist group, and like in the 70s or 80s they got together, and like 50 of them met in this like intersection in New York City and just like cut off traffic to get attention to force the person, the governor, I think it was the governor at the time, to pass the bill to enforce Rule 504, which would basically make every business everywhere make their place is handicap accessible. And and when you look at it, dude, it's like really insane because like it actually worked. Like they got traffic to stop. They collectively shut down New York, and like no one talks about it. So it's like a
That's
really,
crazy.
really, it's a really cool documentary. It's fucking punk rock. Like
So
check it out, man. It is really dope. Camp Cribs on
okay.
Netflix.
So
Um,
not gonna lie. I don't know if it's just because of all the murder that I had to like research talking about Jack Unterberger,
oh yeah.
or just the crazy, all this crazy just documentaries that are on Netflix about killers and whatnot. When you started that off, and you're like, yeah, so it starts off like kind of heartwarming and stuff about all these disabled people get together. I was waiting for you like, and they fucking like decided to start this murder cult or like this sex murder cult, and fucking just went on this rampage. I'm surprised no one ever talked about it. Like,
Just like all their victims, the last words that they said, because one survived, said, "I'm handy capable," and then
yeah.
stabbed.
Like, that's where my head went, and you're trying to talk about how it's this super heartwarming documentary about these disabled people getting together and fighting for their rights, and no one talks about it.
You definitely need to watch it. It's gonna lift your
I,
spirits.
I think I need a break. I just need to sleep and not read murder. Like I legitimately
You
got
need to watch it.
no, I
It
got
would lift your
dude.
spirits.
It's so funny because I got legitimately called out at work because like I forget what I was talking. I was like going off on this little rant about something, and then so like one of the cooks literally stopped what they were doing, looked at me, and said, "Cody, you really need to watch something happy and stop reading about murder and serial killers." Because I have this entire conspiracy about a potential serial killer, and I can't talk about it on the air as much as I want to because I don't want to be held liable. So I'll tell you about it on when we're playing video games.
Fair enough. Yeah, so because we're running a little shorter on time, I'll make my
Yeah,
next
sorry.
subject quick. No, it's totally cool. So other biopic I watched was Lords of Chaos. It's the one that follows Mayhem
Oh
and the
yeah,
creation of Norwegian death metal. If you know Mayhem, you already know what I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. But if you don't, I strongly recommend it. It's probably, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's fucking brutal because
yeah,
it is honest with what had happened in real life. So there, I'm gonna trigger warning, heavy trigger warning. There is some serious scenes of animal abuse and self mutilation throughout. So please
yeah.
keep that
This
in
is a
mind.
hard
Yeah,
this is
it's
considered a horror documentary.
yeah. So just keep that in mind. It's still really good. It's just because it's kind of like a really cool like info about a piece of history that happened underneath our noses as well that we didn't know about, but only happened in like Norway. and only affected like the black metal community, for the
Yeah.
most part, the underground scene. So check it out; it's really cool. Last one I'm going to talk about. That one's on Hulu, by the way. Lords of Chaos. Last one to talk about is also on Hulu, called "Your Pretty Face Is Going to Hell." I am late fan to this. I'm not going to lie, and I'm really mad at myself for being so late to it. But it's one of the fucking funniest series I've ever seen. It is a definite hidden gem on Adult Swim. And I know Adult Swim throws a lot of weird shit on their fucking programming,
Yeah.
and this one definitely is fucking weird, but it's humor, and the way it writes it is actually pretty smart, and it's on point. Like it's definitely for people who have a twisted dark sense of humor for sure, and are gonna appreciate fucked up jokes. It's just right up your alley. Check it out. Your Pretty Face Is Going to Hell is fucking hilarious. They're actually getting a fourth season up on Hulu April 3rd, so I'm excited for that. Check it out. With that being said, let's jump into some movie reviews and get
Yeah.
off all this shit. So,
Dude, you know what's funny is like everything you've done like for this episode and stuff like that oddly relates to the entire story of Jack Unterberger. Like he's a infamous serial killer that no one knows about, even though he was super famous. And then you're
just
talking about like this unknown movement for the disabled, this unknown movement of the
dude,
fucking Norwegian death metal.
it's fucking punk rock. Like, I'm
This
not
has
gonna
been
lie to you.
super weird.
Fucking there, it's probably some of the most bravest people I've ever seen, man.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like the documentary, like just check it out. Like it'll lift your spirits, man. It definitely did mine. Like it's totally fucking good, man. It's
All right.
it's really fun. Like it also like made me laugh too, just because like
Okay.
yeah, it's just really fucking, it's rad. Like I feel
I
like it's
will.
going to be one of those documentaries that no one watches, and I'm really worried about that. So that's why I'm talking about it now, and I want
Yeah.
people to get this on their radars. Like if you need to pick me up, Camp Crip is the way to go. It's on Netflix right
All right.
now.
I'll try and watch it after I finish Tiger King. I
Oh my god, the craziness that's Tiger King.
know. I'm not even done with it yet.
Oh my god, I don't want to bring it up because we talked about it for so long already. Like I
All
want
right.
to do a whole episode about Tiger King.
No, we
Holy
can't.
shit, God, like.
Well, all right. Well, let's hop into our star movies
Don't
before we
worry,
go on
everyone
another
from
rant.
Oklahoma. We don't view you like we view Tiger King. Okay, we don't. We know you all don't elect him to be your spokesperson. We get it.
Or Carol.
Or
Fuck that
fucking
bitch.
or Carol, fucking that murderer.
Murder! Speaking of murder, let's talk about
We could
our
say it. They're
movies.
not gonna fucking call us in court, but wouldn't that be some wild shit? Like
Dude, holy crap. I pooped
local
myself.
Colorado podcast called to be fucking witnesses on on cold case murder trial for Carol Baskin's husband.
For wacky ass conspiracy.
Just like fucking, it'll be like both of us look like Charlie when he's a conspiracy theorist. Fucking, and we got like the whole like fucking cork board, but it's like a massive cork board because it has to accommodate two people. And we both are just stressed up and like our hair's frailed and everything.
Like,
It's
don't
just
get it.
like, look, yeah, it's right. It's like explaining 1+1 = 2 to a fucking 2-year-old. How can you not get this?
Ah.
This is why Austria's better than us. All right, let's jump into this. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first with mine? You-
You go first.
okay, I'll go first. I'll let you collect yourself. Oh man. All right. So
It's Oklahoma. We believe you.
like, just I guarantee if that shit would happen, we would have a fucking army behind us because we would promote that shit. Be like, hey, if you fucking believe Carol Baskins was murdered, we're gonna be at this court. You come show up with your signs and fucking just be right there. Get in the courtroom. Be right up in fucking Carol's face with that goddamn sign and be like, you did it. You did it.
Feel like the fucking librarian from Bob's Burgers. You did it.
You did it. God.
All right, man. What'd you do your movie?
I'll do my movie. All right. So Mine is so we're talking about, so in I don't want to say in honor, but in dishonor of our Monday episode subject
Oh,
of the serial killer did, we decided to do a theme on movies that have notorious killers in them. So this one was really kind of like hard to put in a theme, and that's why we didn't even do
yeah.
a
I
listener
mean, like
participation
I
corner
gave
for
you a
it.
really grave like
No,
decision
it's okay. So
because
the
I
way
didn't tell Matt who I was doing and like why he needed to like. I just kind of said you need to kind of find a movie around like this kind of thing because I can't tell you who it is because I didn't want him. I wanted him going blind on Monday.
It's
So
okay. So I found a good. So we actually both found a good way, and then I also kind of found a good way to explain it. So the movies that the theme that we're talking about then today is the same theme that you would see in the movie Scream, where there are people being either copycat killers or fanatics of it, or are just well aware of the horror movie that is the slasher of Scream. So basically, what we're talking about today is notorious serial killers and notorious killers in general. So what would qualify for this is, Nightmare on Elm Street or
yeah,
Jason Voorhees.
Voorhees,
So
Michael
with that,
Myers.
Michael Myers,
I mean,
even
like the Firefly family kind of was the best comparison because everyone knew they were killers, just like everyone knew Unterberger was a killer, but they just still let him around.
so yeah, so that's why this one was such a challenging theme. But we think we found good movies
Yeah.
anyways. Mine's probably going to be the least closely related to the theme, but I'll still tell you how I relate it. Enough explaining away. I decided to do 2015's The Final Girls. Directed by Todd Strauss-Gluson, written by M.A. Fortin and Joshua John Miller, stars Thaisa Farmiga, Malin Ackerman, and Adam Devine. Um, along with a lot of other notable actors and actresses that I will be mentioning throughout my review. So, what it's about is a young woman played by Thaisa Farmiga is grieving the loss of her mother, Malin Ackerman, a famous scream queen from the 1980s, finds herself pulled into the world of her mom's most famous movie. Reunited, the woman must fight off the film's maniacal killer. So, um, that is for the most part that is the overall like synopsis, like that is actually a better one. um and so what to kind of add a little more into it. So um it starts off with Tisa Farmiga and Malin Ackerman both playing as, and if you are wondering who Tisa Farmiga is, she is popular from American Horror Story, The Nun, and Anna, and Malin Ackerman is from Watchmen and Rampage. Uh, they play as Ollie as mother and daughter in this movie, and so we see them coming out of a casting job because Malin Ackerman's character in this instance is an actress just trying to get a role, and she plays the role of Nancy, and so in the movie, which is set all this whole movie set around, is called Camp Bloodbath. So she plays the role of Nancy, and she got really famous for it. And so she's a scream queen that's killed on a waterbed after losing her virginity. And so
Uh-huh.
that's how she's like known in this universe is Nancy. Um, but she really goes by Amanda Cartwright. And so she's trying to find another role just to chase her dreams. And her daughter, played by Tisa Farmiga, known as Max, is just really supportive of her. So there's like a really great, sweet dynamic between the two of them, and it feels
Uh-huh.
very organic, and I love it the entire time. Like you definitely get sucked in. You're like, oh man, these are really great friends. And then eventually, sadly, they get into a car wreck, and it takes the life of Amanda. And then that brings us to the current day, where Max is still grieving about it, but she still has a good friend group with the amazing Alias Shaka of famous series Arrested Development. Plays her best friend, Gertie Michaels, and so they go to this study session with the cute boy who likes Max, played by Alexander Ludwig, and goes by the role Chris. And so that's where the movie starts out, and we start getting introduced to all the characters who are going to be seen throughout the film.
Yeah.
Then Thomas Middleditch's character also stars in this movie. He's from such amazing, such popular series, Silicon Valley. Plays stepbrother role Duncan to Gertie, and so he comes in and is like, "Hey, are you guys gonna come to Camp Bloodbath premiere tonight?" Kind of like how yeah, Rocky Horror does their premieres. They're like
Yeah.
the little shows at like matinees. Like so, same thing. Camp Bloodbath. So Camp Bloodbath is supposed to be the homage, the perfect picture of what this universe's Friday the 13th is. It's the same exact lore. And so kind of
Yeah.
jumping into a few of my pros here is that the cast all around is great. So who really rounds out this cast is Nina Dobrev of Perks of Being a Wallflower and Vampire Diaries, and Adam Devine of Workaholics, and they all just really play to their strengths and they really play off each other really well. And so they all meet up at at the theater to go see Camp Bloodbath, and it's really well written because it's just like it makes me miss these type of nights where you would go and everybody would want to see Rocky Horror Picture Show. Not saying that no
Yeah.
one does it now, but it's just like it's got a
Oh, they
very
can't
nostalgic
now.
right now. But it's like it's got a good nostalgic feel to like how it does its scenes and how it does its writing, and I really enjoy it for that. And with that, like it does this really, its soundtrack overall is great. Aside from the orchestral stuff, there's this really smart mix of 80s synth type of music. Like even Betty Davis eyes are included with this, and I'm not making that as a pro just because they included Betty Davis eyes, but more so that they really rounded out the soundtrack for this film in a really good way. They focused on it, and I liked it for that. And so this whole movie is literally about paying homage to horror in every single way possible, and by including every trope that they can in this film. And so this is like one of the biggest pros I'm going to give this whole movie is that it is made from the idea of horror fans for horror fans.
Yeah.
And so it's fucking fantastic for that. And so like a good example what I'm talking about is so they eventually, all sit in their seats getting ready for this movie to play. And keep in mind, like I'm skipping some scenes that aren't really necessary for the story to go for you to kind of like piece things together. Like you're just gonna have to watch it kind of for yourself, Delio, for all the gray areas. But
Yeah.
so they're all sitting in their seats, waiting for the movie to start. And so like one of the things that like I took as an homage to horror is they show the scene of like these dudes drinking vodka and they drop the bottle and the bottle rolls all the way down and it rolls down and breaks into the other side of the theater, creating a trail of vodka lines. So there's gonna be a fire scene and there's somebody smoking a joint, and the joint they flick the joint and it focuses on the ash going down and hitting that vodka scene, lighting up the fire, and then it lights somebody on fire and everybody starts to basically die. And that scene right there, if you don't kind of get the hint of what it's paying homage to, it's fucking even paying homage to Final Destination. Like because they do the whole like close up of everything happening in a chain of events to cause
Yeah.
this huge like destruction. Now I know what you're gonna say, Matt. They do that in a lot of films, and yes, you are right. But the way they film it and the CG, that the type of CG they include, I feel is a direct homage to the Final Destination type of films when they set up a kill before it happens. You know,
Yeah.
so that's just that my whole thing. There's also this point, like I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about it as I go on. But the humor, like in this film, is just great throughout. And so what I mean by that is after the theater catches fire, they escape, and the way they escape is that they cut this, they cut open the projector screen. And so they jump through behind it and end up jumping into the world of Bloodbath. And
Uh-huh.
so they they start to realize that they have to work with how the movie goes in real time, in its own real time, in order to like progress and get anywhere. And they find this out early on because they're trying to get from point A to point B, trying to figure out where they are. And this van comes along, and it's the opening scene of the movie Bloodbath, where the van comes along and asks somebody for directions, and they give the person the directions to the campground. And
Yeah.
so, they come across, van comes up, and, driven by Adam Devine as Kurt with Angela Trimber playing Tina, asking the question, hey, do you guys need a lift to camp? And so, they're like, no, 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 we're good. And so they drive off and they're like, okay. And they come back around, hey guys, we're going to camp, the campground that they're going to. And they're like, do you want a lift? And so it keeps happening over and over. So they realize they have to take it. And so they
Yeah.
do. And so what I was really sweet about this movie is that underneath like the meta horror trope humor and just the horror setting in general is a really sweet message of a bond between a parent and a kid, like a healthy bond. Because in the same scene that happens in Bloodbath, what basically happens is Nancy, who's played by Malin Ackerman, wakes up from the back of the van, as you would expect in any type of slasher film where this scene is set up, and it's like, "Are we almost there?" And keeping in mind that at this point, Max hasn't seen her dead mother um, in over a year, you
Uh-huh.
know? And so she's now actually seeing her mother for the very first time, but playing a role that has come to life.
Yeah.
And so like it kind of hits you right away, like how like in like deep that was for it to happen.
Hmm.
But because the humor is so well paced out in this movie, it doesn't like make you dwell on a very serious deep message, as it gets you to start laughing again and realize like this is a crazy premise for a film. So as it
So,
goes on, they get to the camp. um, and so they hit like every kind of like horror trope when the teenage campers get to the camp for the first time. um there it's and it starts out like every type of Friday 13th movie, where like there's also two hikers nearby, who just happen to come by each other and be like, "Hey, do you know where the campground is, blah blah blah," you
yeah.
know And so they're like, and it's a girl and a dude, and she's like, "I can show you, or we can make out." It's a really fucking. It's supposed to be an homage to cheesy '80s slasher, so kind of just
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna be accurate with what they say because like you like it's funny enough, and I don't want to ruin the actual dialogue they have. So,
Yeah.
anyways, the guy who plays Jason Voorhees, known as Billy in this movie, comes up and kills both of them. But before he kills them, our heroes that we're following, who is Gertie, Max, Chris, and Duncan, um, are all kind of watching the scene about to happen, where these pikers are about to get fucking murdered like shit,
Yeah.
and just like deader than doornail, right? And so fucking what ends up happening is that they try to intervene, and Duncan, because Duncan is the horror nerd. Duncan is me, you, and every horror nerd. Like he is the horror like aficionado of the group, played by Thomas Middleditch. You know, it's like we can't stay here. No, don't do that. And they're like, why? And like I love this line because I thought it was really kind of perfect as to kind of a simple way to explain why we love watching horror films. And he's like,
Uh-huh.
the line he basically ends up saying is, "Let's watch them. Our duty is not to disrupt, but observe." Like comparing them to like if it was animals in the wild. And I was like, that's such a very eerie and appropriate way to explain why horror tropes not just happen in films, but why we have to deal with them. You
Yeah.
know, because it happens because it's the natural balance of the ecosystem. So
Why
like,
aren't you getting this?
so like, yeah, I just fucking love that. I'm like, okay, I'm like, all right, this movie's great. Like, I fucking love it for that. So like, what continues going on is that, so one thing I'm gonna tell you right now, con is flat out, this movie is 1 out of 5 buckets of gore. You are not gonna really see anything bloody or gory in this film. There's
I
one
mean,
fucked up death, but
it's
like it
PG-13.
yeah, but honestly, I'm gonna really encourage you to kind of curb that expectation to the side here, because even with the CG not really being great, because that is also another con I want to point out, is the opening car crash scene where we see Max and her mother um, get in the car crash, is you could tell it's CG, and it's extremely over the top. Like it does like the whole like 10 fucking roll, like after it gets hit with just like being like T-boned, like not even T-bone, but yeah, no, it gets hit like T-bone, just like does like a 10 like roll and like fucking crashes and just like burns. Like, so it's like some of the CG is definitely a little over the top when it really shouldn't be. So like those are my really biggest cons of that. But that being said, those things against it, there is still a great ride throughout, and like there's a lot of good messages in this film that I really like. So there's this great scene with Adam Devine playing Kurt and Alexander Ludwig, who plays Chris, where both of them are sitting on this bench, And they're looking at this nudie mag, and Kurt's playing like it's like the best example of like toxic masculinity versus non-toxic masculinity,
Uh-huh.
because like and like Adam Devine sells it fucking well because he's just like, oh, look at the jugs on her, I would just fuck get in those fucking jugs, oh man. It's like, I'm gonna have sex with all the counselors here, every single one of them. And Alex, and Chris is just like not having it. He's just like, you don't think, he's basically just like, you don't think that's a little degrading, like, don't you think, they want anything else, kind of thing. He's like, what, dude? No, what, are you gay? And so like Chris is like, it was like, if you ever, it's like, my dads are gay, and if you ever say that again, or he's like, my dads are gay, don't you ever say that again. He's like, your dads are gay. Two gay dads can't have a kid. That makes no sense. Like, and so like then he's just like, yeah, he's like, he's like, what about, and so he's like, what about Max? You guys getting on, you're getting on, you fucking having sex, man. And he's like, you mind if I hit that? You mind if I hit that? And like Chris just like gets immediately defensive, puts like fucking Kurt's arm behind his back. He's like, if you go anywhere near her, I will fucking end you. Like, I'm not gonna say the exact thing he said because it's still worth the whole scene, but it's just
Yeah.
like, it was a really cool scene, and I loved it for it because it's just like, I feel like not enough movies in general really talk about like how fucking bad and negative toxic masculinity is. And that was just such a great example. Sorry that was like a little long, but I really wanted to like explain why I loved it.
Yeah.
Um, so to kind of round things out, the finishing scene in this movie is absolutely badass, and it's just the shot is amazing because we see Max go up against Billy in this fucking, knife machete fight, and there's like these purple clouds in the background, and she's fucking just doing it to Betty Davis eyes playing in the background, and it's just a really kind of badass scene overall. Like, I was fucking, it was just, I was really happy with it. Like, it was well done. It was just really great. Um, and so this movie just in general is just a really interesting ride at like, how horror can be adapted to a different format, not have to have an R rating but still have an impact, because underneath underneath all this horror and all this, and I'm gonna get a little preachy on you real quick, is this amazing message, a very sweet message about how we cope when we lose someone or something close to us, and that even in horror, it's still good to mind everyone, to be close with those in your life, whoever they may be. And I just love it for that because I feel like it's a very appropriate for the time that we're dealing right now with and what everybody is going through. Before I read quick trivia facts, I'm gonna tell you where you can get it. You can get it right now on Amazon Prime for a renting price of $2.99. Same with Vudu, and you can get it on YouTube and iTunes for $3.99. Same with Google Play. But if you have a Crackle account, it is for free. So again, check it out. It's totally worth your time. Sorry I've gone again. Sorry I went to so many like long explanations, like because it is such a meta heavy movie.
Hmm.
A lot of it required more context than I realized. And I was like, oh crap, I gotta kind of like explain like when they're in the film and whatnot. Like, so like, yeah. So anyways, few interesting facts about it. Angela Trimber, who plays Tina, improvised her entire dance sequence. She slammed energy drinks to get in character and worked herself up for the frenetic dance. This is funny because in the scene, she accidentally takes a bottle of like Adderall and
Yeah.
thought they were and like she was told they were Tic Tacs, and so she's like super focused the entire time, like while doing this like very aggressive strip tease. So like, and they're like using her as bait to try and like lure in Billy, because like after
Yeah.
she takes her top off, that's when he stabs her. So it's really funny. The
Yeah.
film was conceived and co-written by Joshua John Miller as a way of dealing with the death of his dad, Jason Miller, who starred as Father Karras in The Exorcist 1973. That is actually really sweet. So, in an early draft of the script, Max was suicidal following the death of her mother, and an attempt to hang herself was interrupted by a phone call from Gertie. So that's good that they didn't do that because that would have made it a little darker than it had to be, um,
Hmm.
for what they kind of finished on. The last one, when Tina becomes hyper focused on the fly buzzing around the room, it was a spur of the moment ad lib, not a digitally generated insect. Now we know.
Nice.
So yeah, that is my movie. Sorry, I went over a little bit. Like I said, I had to get into, I had to be a little more descriptive because of just like how meta the whole thing is. Also, that's also the reason why I didn't want to talk about how it ends and how they get out of the film,
Yeah.
because I will tell you, it's not a dream thing. They don't treat it like it's a dream thing. So, but you're just gonna have to see it to understand what I mean. But yeah, sorry,
Okay.
man. Go ahead.
No,
You
you're
go
good.
into it. I totally am shutting down now.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to watch that movie now.
Yeah, it's really good, man.
Yeah, I will. I'm
Like,
gonna have to check it out. Well, I did my. So I picked a actually semi controversial movie between me and Matt because I swear to God I've seen the ending of this movie at his place with him, and he swears to God he hasn't.
if
So
we did, I had to put it on the background, and it was like super focused on something else. Like I had to be.
I swear to God. But anyways, so I decided to do my movie on Monster Party. Came out in 2018. It is directed by Chris Von Hoffman. It was written by Chris Von Hoffman. It stars Sam Strike, Virginia Gardner, and Brandon Michael Hall. There's a couple like big name people you'll see in here that you're like, oh shit, it's that person. Like they're always like you know who they are by their faces, but you always forget their names.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the way I felt about it. And I picked this movie because, so synopsis on here is terrible, but it's
Speaking of actors that you know by, faces and not names, is it one of the dudes, the guy who plays Pennywise, or am I just mistaken?
no,
Okay, I am mistaken
no,
now.
he looks like it. The protagonist kind of looks like Bill Skarsgård, but he's not.
Okay, I was
Yeah,
like, I swear to God, I feel like that's Bill Skarsgård, but I don't know if that's Bill Skarsgård.
no, it's not. It's not. But anyways, so I picked this movie because so it's three young thieves infiltrate and try to rob a dinner party. So that's a terrible synopsis on here. The one on Hulu was so much better. It's three young thieves infiltrate are gonna try and infiltrate and rob a dinner party that's a host for Serial Killers Anonymous.
You
So it's
fucking
kind of like AA for
yeah,
serial killers.
yeah. IMDb, are you happy with that shit? You
Yeah,
fucking are getting outclassed by Hulu. Fucking embarrassing.
seriously, it's fucking embarrassing. Anyways, I picked this movie because like the whole synopsis is like they're serial killers that are doing AA. They're trying to rehab themselves. And Monday's story was about a serial killer who said he rehabbed himself in jail and put himself into poetry and went, "I'm good,"
I
but
feel
obviously
like
he
we should have
wasn't.
just done like killers that got rehabbed. I feel like that would have been about whatever. I'm
You know
still
what?
happy with my
I
movie.
think Final Girls was great because it was super meta. Because in the story, and I mean, from Unterberger, he was super meta about it. He was fucking talking to cops about his own kills. Your whole entire movie was people dying in an actual serial killer movie that isn't as that like wasn't real. It was a meta movie. So his life was meta. You picked a meta movie.
You know what? I feel like any thread I'll just take at this point.
I think it fit. I thought it fit. And it
Oh,
was
thanks,
about a
buddy.
notorious criminal. He was notorious. Come on.
Thanks,
Anyway,
buddy.
so
Appreciate
I
it.
did you're welcome. So I will so okay, so this movie was classified as a horror comedy, and that is the biggest con about it is when it does try to shoehorn comedy at some parts. So that's my biggest con about it. Otherwise, I actually really enjoyed it. Um
Like, is it like in poor taste or?
No, it was just it doesn't fit.
Okay,
So like
I'm getting ahead of you. I'm sorry.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'll talk about when it gets there because it really doesn't do the comedy part until like close to the end. The rest of the comedy is like really small. But anyway, so the opening is really great, and this is where like the small comedy comes in because you see it just shows this rich family doing like semi-normal tasks, and there's like classical music, but there's something off about all of them while they're doing these tasks. So like the son, it's really funny because like the son's super stereotypical like goth rich kid where he has all these tats and he thinks he's awesome and he's like doing bicep curls and like out in the open with his shirt off. His sister's like sunbathing and she's super hot, like the stereotypical
Yeah,
like
like
movie Hollywood
it's the whole
family.
cliche rich kid.
Yeah, the
Uh,
mom's in the kitchen slicing tomatoes that she's never gonna feed the family. She has to look like she's doing something, and
yeah,
the husband like in his studio. So like there's something you can tell there's something off, especially when it goes. like it starts focusing on the daughter's face and it switches from classical to like really eerie music. It was a really nice touch. I liked the opening, so like everything had a purpose. It was a long opening, but it had a purpose, so that's why I liked it. And then it introduces us to our three protagonists. They're three thieves, and it shows how like really how they know their shit. Like it does this entire like little oh my god, I can't think of it. Fucking, they're robbing this house, and it shows how they do it. Like then it shows what each one's really good at. Like the main guy, Casper, he's our main protagonist. It shows that he's good with the technology. Dodge, he's good with all the tools, and then Iris is like the scapegoat. She like tries to distract the people. She keeps lookout and make sure no one like disrupts them. They have like the system. And it's really cool to show it.
All the also jobs.
Mm-hmm. And it also shows them why they're doing it. It gives you a reason to care about them. Like Dodge and Iris are expecting a baby, and they don't want to raise them on the street. They want to try and get it. Like they want to like move out of the town so they can start over. And Casper, he has to pay off his dad's horrible gambling debt. And like that whole scene where you see Casper going in and where it introduces why he's doing all this, and seeing him have to go to this strip club where his dad's $10,000 in debt, and he has to like pay him off by Sunday so they don't kill him, like with this really scummy guy, and it makes you really hate the people there. So you really care about Casper. I feel like they do a really good job in this movie with character.
I feel like it's starting to come back a little more.
You're remembering the ending with the samurai sword?
Maybe. Does the dad fucking...
Okay, later. Anyways,
it all depends because it all.
Okay, right before like when they tell him he has till Sunday, is like as a precaution, they snip the dad's finger off with a.
Oh my god! Yeah, no, I do remember this.
Cigar cutter, yeah. So that's in the beginning. I'm not crazy.
I totally had been distracted when like we were watching it.
Yeah.
But now I wonder what I was doing.
Yeah, so that was the beginning, and so then it reintroduces the rich family, and you can tell something's off. So like they talk about how the kids talk about how they're going to go rob this place, and they figure out the place because Iris actually works for this catering company, and the company's catering this event at the place, and so they're like, yeah, we need to rob it, and like Casper gets in on it because of his dad's debt, and so then it shows all the family and their quirks. So you don't know these people are, the twist of them being serial killers, because like it doesn't introduce it, and the way it introduces is really cool, but you notice something's off with all of them. Like the mom is really excited about slicing tomatoes. She gets really into it. The son's just a fucking asshole, and the dad's super creepy. Like he smells the mom and then just walks away. And you're like,
totally normal. Totally.
Yeah, that's a normal rich family. That's
normal.
What rich do, right? And so when all the guests arrive, they all show up in these really fancy cars, and then they all start coming in, and so one of the guests is bringing a date, and she lips to Dodge, "Help me," and so you're like, all right, I like the build of like there's something off with all these people, and then it does this AA scene, and it's great because they all stand and like they talk about I'm 4 years sober, and they talk about the mom gives a really good story about how she almost broke into her thing, but you don't know what it is because she talks about how she was running. And then she sees this homeless man that no one would miss. And she's like, and I could have just did it, but I did nothing. Did absolutely nothing. And everyone's like, yeah, even though it kind of builds up like she's going to give him money, kind of, if you don't know what you're getting into with the movie. And so it's just really good how they build them up. And then when shit hits the fan, oh my God. So like, the son, you can tell the son's going to be the one that snaps, and so he's the one that snaps and starts the brutality that happens in this movie. And I'm not going to talk about like who dies and stuff like that, but he kills this person, and it's just brutal. He chops his hand off, and then there's just blood everywhere, like when he's just hacking at him. But they do this cool thing where like while he's doing all that, another person's talking about giving their AA story, talking about like how they didn't kill someone while he's murdering him in the background. So like that's where some of the comedy comes from. That's good. And then at this point, and then this afterwards, so like everyone's like when they all figure out what happens, everyone's freaking the fuck out. So like when this is happening, Casper's trying to rob this Casper's and Dodge are doing like this thing where they're trying to rob this safe, but they can only do it in 2-minute intervals of trying to break in because then an alarm would set off. But alarm goes off, and then they find out like this murder happened up there, and the fucking Elliot, he's such a good bad guy. You just fucking hate this guy so much because he's clapping with the dead person's hand and his hand to Iris, and Iris is like, "Oh my fucking god!" Like she freaks the fuck out. And so all the serial killers start chasing Iris, like the young serial killers chase her, and I fucking love her because she is smart. Like the second she gets a weapon, she doesn't hesitate. She just fucking cuts this dude's face and is fighting him like tooth and nail, like from the get-go. So it's really a nice change instead of the whole like holding the knife and like, oh no, don't attack me. Oh my god, I'll cut you, I swear. Like she just goes at it. So I like
fuck you.
Yeah, and then the dude like is trying to hold her down. She grabs the cut on his face and tears at his face. Oh, it was brutal. It was nice.
Yeah, and then that was just like hell fucking yeah. Like it was because and the effect was so good too.
Yeah. It was really good practical effects. There's not much CG, if at any, in this movie. It's really, really shows and it's really good. And you could tell it's kind of a low budget, but because they spent most of the money on the gore and on the like 3 main big actors, but like it works for like it really works for the movie. And so like there's this point where like all the killers are trying to talk to Casper and Iris because obviously they're not serial killers and they're witnesses now. And they're talking to Casper and they're like, how about we give you like $10,000 and you forget all about this? And he's like, after everything I've seen, you think $10,000 is all I'll settle for? Like, go fuck yourself. And then he asked for more money. So I was like, yeah, I would too.
Yeah, fucking, that would be the time to definitely ask for more money.
Yeah, and like this movie does a really good job of showing how smart the protagonists are and how dumb the villains are, because like then they talk about how they're gonna backstab him, like they're not gonna give him $100,000 like 2 feet away from the door that they're talking to him behind. Like he's like, I can hear you. Like he's like, obviously I can hear you, and he has a gun, and so he like walks out the door and he points the gun. He's like, no, we're getting the fuck out of here. And so just to jump forward a little bit, you've the deaths in this movie are so fucking awesome because most of the people who die, they fucking deserve it. Like when one of the serial killers die, he's like going ham, and the leader of the AA group is like trying to keep everyone together. Like they're not no more death, but one of the serial killers is just like going ham, and so the main guy like rips his face off. It's the guy who got cut in the beginning. He rips his face off and he just beats him to death. And it's just fucking great because he turns around and goes, no more killing! And everyone's just like, whoa. And then he just gets domed. And it's just so good. Like some of the comedy does line up, but here's where the comedy is off. So they do this buildup of like Mickey. And Mickey, they just say he's the dog, but then you see pictures that he's actually the deformed son and he's like super mental. And this scene is great. This is where the shoehorn comedy throws me off, and I don't like it. So Mickey ends up murdering one of the people by eating their face, and then he like spits up their face and just honks a horn and goes. He says like a really stupid line, and I can't remember, but then he just gets his head split in half, and it all happens so fast of being super intense, crazy, and then trying to throw a gag in is where I'm like, that was dumb, but. Yeah. After that, it's all uphill from here. Like fucking the last 10 minutes of this movie is super badass. So fucking like Casper just comes into his own with a samurai sword and just fucking like fights off all these dudes. There's a death with a chainsaw that is just so fucking just so beautiful. So this is where a comedy part works. So like you see Casper and the daughter who's actually helping him like walk out into the sunset. It looks like they're about to walk out in the sunset because like they think everyone's dead, but then you just hear a chainsaw and it's all in slow motion with the happy music, and this dude's just going, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And then like they go, oh shit, run. And they just like leg it when this dude with the chainsaw chasing them, and it like works so well because Casper just turns around, cuts his foot off, and the chainsaw like flips in the air and lands on the dude's chest, and he's just like cussing him out while he's getting all cut up with blood and squirting everywhere. It is just so brutal. It's so great. and then it just leads into this like great last 5 minute finale that I'm not gonna ruin, but it like kind of meshes like Saw, because like in there with Elliot, and then how Elliot goes is so great because he just fucking deserves it. And then the 5 minutes afterwards, it turns into this fucking Quentin Tarantino samurai movie for the last 5 minutes, and it's great. So I said the biggest con of mine was when it shoehorned the comedy in, which was just the Mickey scene, but all the other shit just worked for it. So I think buckets of blood, 5 out of 5. I would think for the gore meter. And so, um, yeah. So I fucking love this movie, and Mag, I think you need to go rewatch it because I think you would fucking love everything into it.
I do need to rewatch it. I don't remember why. Like, I thought I forgot it. That's so weird.
I know, like that was throwing me off because I was arguing with you about it for so long. I was like, we were trying to figure out this movie, and then when I started watching it, like right when it got to the scene when I got to your place, I was like, oh man, this is the movie. And you're just like, I don't fucking remember it. And I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, that's so weird, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all good. But yeah, so if you want a really good, like fairly character, like pretty decent character driven movie and just lots of blood, like over the top gore and just brutality, this is a really good movie to watch. And like just especially with the sprinkling of like some comedy, like you can see the potential of like the Ready or Not bar of comedy in this movie. Like it had the potential to be that funny, but it just fell a little short, but it's still fantastic.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
alrighty then. So
yep.
fucking Monster Party the
Monster
movie.
Party. Some fun trivia about it. I gotta load up. There's only 3. So the film was shot in 17 days. The movie Mother's Day is playing on the TV in Elliot's room, and so the body count of the movie is actually at 18. There's a lot more dead people in this movie than you would think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So find this movie. I watched it's free on Hulu if you have that. I don't know where the other
It is. You can also catch it on Amazon Prime for a rental price of $2.99. That price goes to Vudu as well on YouTube and Google Play for $3.99.
Yeah.
So
All right.
yeah, fantastic, fan freaking tastic. So yeah, ghouls, gals, creeps, and mutants alike. It's another Friday episode done with, down, collected in the file of horror and horror history that from now on will be forever and apparent in the abyss known as life. And that is my poem.
Sweet.
See
Sweet.
if I wanted to end up because he's a poet. I wanted to
Yeah, I
end
got
up.
it.
Yeah.
Good link. Good
Milk,
link.
milk, lemonade around the corner. Fudge
All
is
right.
made.
Yeah. And one last thing, just throw out to you guys before I plug the rest of our stuff in here. Just in this dire time, be safe, think of each other, look out for each other, and take care of each other. Remember, we're all in this together, and so we can get through this together. And watch some horror movies.
Don't be a Carol Baskins.
Don't be Carol. Don't be a
Don't be a
Carol.
don't be a Carol Baskins.
Be a Mario. Be the one in the documentary that ended up getting his shit together and stayed out of all the craziness.
It's so fucking funny. Like real quick joke. So like Lauren's also playing Animal Crossing, and
Uh-huh.
so like she's like. So I was like giving her a hard time last night as she was playing. So she goes into the zoo, and then or not the zoo, the museum. And so
Mhm.
like she only has like 7 fish. So I was messing with her, and I was like, you're like the Carol Baskins of fish, because like because Carol Baskins didn't have like as many tigers as she said she did, you
Yeah.
know. And then it was also, and then because I was doing such a good job at pissing her off. Like I was just, I was just like, make the bed, make the bed, make a bed. And she's like, okay, I made a bed. And I was like, well, why aren't you placing bed down? She's like, because I got to give it to one of the people that are going to move into the house. And I was like, well, wouldn't it be more productive to make a bed for yourself first so you could sleep somewhere and then make a bed for them? She's like, well, I'm going to make another bed. I'm like, well, then why not just place this bed if you're going to make another bed right now? And she's like, I swear to God, I'm going to murder you. And I'm like, wow, you really are the Carol Baskins of fish.
Carol. Oh my god, I wonder how many fucking Tiger King memes are gonna come out of fucking Animal Crossing, especially since people were recreating scenes from The Lighthouse.
That's so fucking funny. All right,
All
everyone.
right,
You know
everybody.
where to follow us on Facebook. Search us up, Punk Record Podcast, or on our Twitter at official PRHP. Our merch store is back, so make sure you check that out as well. That'll be in the links below. You can also like us and follow us on
Instagram at Punk Rock Horror Podcast, hashtag PRHP Podcast.
You can also follow me at the Undead Matt. If you want to support the show financially, please feel free to go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/punkrockhorrorpodcast. You get amazing rewards for a tier for your patronage. Again, right now we're doing a hold on the mystery boxes until this whole quarantine is lifted and everything's okay again. We really do treasure all of you, and we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to risk any of you to any harmful diseases. We don't know, not saying that we're infected, but we are keeping
We're gonna
everybody's health
keep
in
it
mind
safe.
here.
We're gonna
Yeah,
play it safe. Play as safe
yes,
as possible. Your health and your safety is what matters. We're gonna play it safe.
as cliche as it is, it's better to be safe than sorry right now.
Exactly.
So that,
Hence
and we
why
don't
we're recording over Skype.
exactly. Let's call us paranoid, but I mean, at least
Safe
we're
and
just
sorry, man. Yeah.
so. We have to take these precautions because we know what the position we're in.
Yep.
Anyways, that being said, thank you again, ghouls, gals, creeps, and mutants. Like always, if you want to support us in other ways, you can go over to our iTunes, leave us a 5-star review, tell us what you like or don't like about the show, what you want us to do, what want us to keep, want us to improve. Let us know. We will listen to you. You can also do the same on our YouTube comment section as well. All right, ghouls and gals, thank you again, creeps and mutants, for letting us hang out and talk with you about horror. Bye.
Bye.